So the other day I was trying to make a graph in Python and I just did what everyone does. I used matplotlib, but I realized that matplotlib is extremely clunky, it's visually outdated, and I just needed a better way to make graphs and charts in Python. So I did some digging and I found a Python library that is perfect for this, and I just had to show you guys. It's extremely underrated, but without further ado, let me introduce you guys to the power of Plotly. Okay, so this is the data set that we're going to be using to test matplotlib versus the other library. And just for quick context on what this is, I have a journaling app that I'm working on called Echo, where it's basically just journaling like you're texting a friend. And I have a waitlist sign up that you can enter your email in, and then that email goes into this Google Sheet along with the date and time that you signed up, as well as just a couple extra columns for follow-up emails. By the way, I'll also leave the link to the waitlist in the description if you're interested. But anyways, obviously I don't want to show you guys their actual emails. So I made this quick example sheet of just example 1, example 2, and this is what we're going to be using to test. And what I want to do is basically just make a chart that tells me for each day how many people signed up on that day, and just see kind of like a line chart of where my peak was, what the lowest day was, just to see how it was. Currently I have around 88 people signed up, but anyway, let's head into matplotlib and see what it can do. Okay, so I went ahead and took our Google Sheet of all our example emails and just quickly turned it into a CSV, as you can see here. So we just have 2 columns, our date and our email. So now if we go back, this is our matplotlib code, and we do need to import another library called pandas, and that's really just for reading the CSV. So as you can see here, we read the CSV, initialize everything, group everything in the date, but then this is where matplotlib comes in. We use all of these different methods that it has, like figure, plot, title, X label, Y label, to basically just give it all the information about the graph, and then the most important one, plt.show. So now if we run this code, we should see a graph. As you can see here, this is the graph that matplotlib created, and it looks pretty cool. We can see some pretty interesting information on here. We can see that, for example, we got 2 signups on the first day, then it was 0 signups for a little bit, then we got a couple spikes. It seems like our highest day of signups was on July 30th maybe, with 5 signups in one day, which is pretty cool. And then there are also some little extra features down here, like this button that lets you kind of move around, see into the negative, see past the normal range. There's this button that lets you kind of select a region and it will zoom into that region so you can see more detail. There's backspace buttons, stuff like that. And then there's also this button that lets you, if you want to, that lets you kind of squish the graph to the left, squish the graph up, and then reset it when you're done. And the final thing that I can do is this button, where if you press it, it will let you download this chart as a file. And so that's pretty much all matplotlib has to offer, which it's pretty cool, and it doesn't take that many lines of code, which I can see why people would use it, but we can just get so much more information out of this, which is where we can use Plotly. So now let's look at what we can do with Plotly. So as you can see here, it's the same thing. We still use pandas to read the CSV, group everything, and then to actually graph it, we only need 2 lines of code. This one line that just basically just gives it all the information that it needs, the X, the Y, the title, everything that it needs, and then just one other line, fig.show. That's literally all we need, and with that, we are able to create this graph. And unlike matplotlib, this one actually shows up in your native browser. But let's actually look at the real graph here. So as you can see here, we have our normal graph. It looks the same as the matplotlib one, but you can see we have little markers here. So we're actually able to hover over them and see exactly what each of these points mean. So before, when we were trying to find the spike, it was kind of difficult to see because matplotlib was only showing our coordinates of where our mouse was. But now you can just hover over this and we can see that we got 5 signups on July 30th, and we can just keep going. Over here, 3 signups on July 26th, over here, 1 sign up on July 28th, and we can just get so much information from this. But that's not all. We can also quickly do the zoom. So we're also able to quickly select a region, zoom into that, and then double click and it will zoom back out. Same thing as matplotlib, we can pan around, see everything in the negatives past the normal range, and we're also able to zoom into the graph, zoom out of the graph, and we can just auto scale it to whatever it thinks the best is. We're able to reset everything, and we're also able to do the same thing and download this plot as a PNG on our computer. So we're able to have it downloaded. And that's pretty much what Plotly has to offer. And only looks a little bit better than Matplotlib. I mean, obviously these are just a game changer. You can see a lot more, but you can actually make so much more with Plotly. Like if we come over to their actual documentation, you can make so much more than what we just made. You can make these fundamental charts with like circles, bar graphs, linear regression. You're able to make scatter plots, line charts, bar charts, pie charts, bubble charts, 2D histograms, box plots, error bars, dist plots, contours, heat maps, ternary plots. I don't even know what that is. Log plots, candlestick charts, waterfall, literally just even maps too, for machine learning as well. Anything that you want to create with graphs. You can even create 3D graphs. I mean, this is actually insane. Even animations, if you want to make those with Plotly. So in the future, I hope that everyone is going to be using Plotly instead of Matplotlib because it's just so much better.